It's finally happening. David has been arrested and is being held without bail. It's been 7 months since a child's body was found decomposing in the trunk of his towed vehicle, and now authorities have arrested him as the main suspect in her murder. Her name was Celeste Rivas Hernandez. She went missing in 2024 and her body was found in 2025. She was 14 at the time of her death, according to authorities, and according to everyone's eyeballs, was in a relationship with David. There is a plethora of evidence about these two being in a relationship together, which is something even the most avid and ferocious of David defenders, when they pick up their shield, just kind of brush over. The fact that an adult was in a romantic relationship with a 13-year-old. I've seen them use excuses of, oh, he was homeschooled, so he couldn't have known that that was bad. What the fuck? It's just actual craziness. And I started talking about this when the story was breaking, and I got a lot of pushback. There were a lot of people, going ballistic about how wrong this whole thing was and that I'm a fucking gullible idiot for thinking David was the one that did this. Just this large vocal group of deluded fans that were trying to, brainwash people into thinking that it was all a lie, so they were cooking up these elaborate, unhinged theories on what actually happened and how David is innocent and is even a victim in all of this. Oh, fucking 5G towers were blasting waves that signaled the cartel to come perform a hit on this child and then put her body in the trunk of David's vehicle to frame him for her murder. It was bouncing all over the place. I can't even remember everything that they were spewing, but it was all just complete gobbledygook, just complete babble nonsense that anyone who even bothered to look at any of the evidence could easily point to and say, no, you're wrong, just look at this. But they would refuse to look at the reality of it. The evidence, even at the time, was pretty damning. He was even leaving fucking breadcrumbs in his music about this. And he wasn't exactly shy about broadcasting his relationship with this child. So even if he was innocent of the murder, he was very clearly dating a minor. It was just crazy to see so many people were defending him, and I imagine are still actively defending him, even in the face of this arrest, because he hasn't been formally charged for anything at the moment, and I imagine that's what they're latching onto like a baby to its mother's bosom. And at the time, one of the big things that they were using as a defense for David was the fact that he wasn't arrested yet. Well, if he's guilty, why didn't the police break through his fucking windows the second that the body was found, huh? He must be innocent then. The authorities know more than we do. He's clearly innocent and we gotta find the real perpetrator. Completely oblivious to the fact that that's not how the world works. Not everything is a goddamn action movie. They had to also build a case as well. And yes, this did take a lot longer than I and most people would have expected, given how abundant the evidence is against David. But I imagine that this is pretty standard procedure for them to gather tons of evidence to build an ironclad case, and now they are confident enough that they've moved to the next phase, which is arresting him. Now, additional details around this arrest confirm that the arrest is not related to the grand jury that they were going through over the last handful of months where they were seeking an indictment there. This is totally separate based upon evidence that they have been gathering over these months here. This must be a long process, I suppose, but it doesn't seem like they were just sitting AFK waiting for the case to solve itself or David to turn himself in or anything like that. It's just a process that I guess took this long.
All right. And so a lot of people wondering, so many things seem to point to him. Why did it take them this long to make the arrest? We know they're pretty methodical about how they do things, but.
Yeah, it's a good question. One of the things that they were waiting on, Mark, was the cause of death. And that there was difficulty reaching that cause of death. Not to get too graphic, but her body was in multiple parts. It was in, we know from court documents, 2 different body bags in the front trunk of that Tesla when her body was found. So it was difficult for the medical examiner to determine the cause of death. So they had to prove or be able to show to the DA that she was murdered, that it wasn't something else where, let's say that she overdosed and then somebody freaked out and put her body in that trunk. They have to be able to prove that it was murder. They now believe that they can do that.
This part got a big old and a scratch on my chinny chin chin for me, because what do you mean this could have been like, an accident, like she overdosed and somebody freaked out? So then they chopped up her body and stored it in the trunk of a car. Who freaks out like that? Like, oh no, this accident just happened. Quick, give me my fucking bone saw. I've got to start chopping up this body, mutilating it, and then hiding it in the trunk of this vehicle. This accident that just unfolded. Oh, I don't know what else to do. Biting at my nails. All right, now give me the hydrofluoric acid so I can dissolve all the body and hide the evidence. Like, is that something plausible? Because to me, it's not. If that is what happened, they're psychopaths, and that is also a crime too, by the way, to do that. So like, I understand how important it is to find the cause of death. That makes a lot of sense to me. But what else could it be besides murder? This is a gruesome, disgusting, grisly crime here. I don't see any dimension out there where this is action that a sane, innocent person would take, where an individual accidentally passes away, and then the innocent person who had nothing to do with the death all of a sudden starts chopping up the body, putting it in multiple body bags, and putting it in the trunk of their vehicle, and just letting it rot, decompose, and fester there. Like, what sense does that make at all? Even if David wasn't the one that chopped her body up, someone else did it, and apparently there's this possibility that they had nothing to do with her actual death. They just mutilated the corpse, which again is a crime too. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think she accidentally died of something like an overdose, and then they all of a sudden just started, panicking like, oh, jump scare, she's dead. Okay, this is what we've got to do, boys. Everyone, let's go to Lowe's and get some equipment to start chopping up the body, because that's what normal people would do in this situation. We're scared. I was homeschooled, by the way, so I don't know any better. I'm scared. Let's start chopping up this body now and hiding it. We had nothing to do with her death, by the way. Like, that's so fucked up. Like, again, I understand how important it is to find the actual cause of death and how tricky it is in a case like this because of how long the body had been in the trunk decaying, as well as being in multiple pieces in multiple bags. Like, I get why that would be tough to discern what actually killed her, but I don't know how you could even reach any other conclusion other than murder. I truly don't. I don't even know why that would be on the table. That one kind of boggles my little noodle here.
But during the grand jury proceedings, which are secret as they're ongoing, that there were a number of other people who came forward, those who are close to David, friends of David, family members of his were subpoenaed to go in front of the grand jury. So if there are other arrests that could be coming, we don't know. But as of right now, he is the only one that we know of under arrest.
Now, apparently there were some of David's friends that allegedly started squealing, like snitching about it to a certain degree. There's also someone a lot of people have had their eyes on in David's entourage. His name is Neo. That's what everyone calls him. And it's someone that Law and Crime mentioned during their coverage of this as well. But as of right now, it's just David under arrest, but I guess there could be more if some of his friends knew and tried to help him cover it up, or just didn't report it, tried to stay, tight-lipped about it. So I guess we'll see how it all unfolds. Right now, it's just him. Overall, just an extremely sad and sick case. Hopefully there will be justice for Celeste Rivas here. And even if somehow David isn't the one who actually murdered her, it is irrefutable that he was in a relationship with a child. So he should also be going to jail for that. And I find it hard to believe that if he is innocent of the murder, he didn't know that the child he was dating was dead and her corpse was chopped up and put in the back of his vehicle's trunk. I am certain he would have had that knowledge. So again, even if he didn't actually kill her, he is not innocent. He is not some, like, victim in all of this. He is an evil monster, and I do believe he is the one that killed her. I think all of the evidence points to him being the person that most likely did it. But I guess we'll see now that he's been arrested. I'm assuming this will now start to reveal more and more information to the public about all of this. So anyway, that's really about it. See ya. I just wanted to briefly give you the latest information in the David case and the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I know I've made a couple videos yapping about this, and it's a really genuinely difficult topic to even talk about because of how disgusting it is. But the reason why I keep bringing it up is because there is a not small number of people, a relatively strong movement, the Dipshits for David, that are constantly trying to brainwash people into believing that David has been framed. They keep regurgitating that, well, they haven't found him guilty yet, thus we know he's innocent and he has been framed, he's actually a victim in all of this, and they're trying to bury all of the real information and muddy everything, even though so much of this evidence is publicly available evidence. That, like, not even all the stuff that's in the case right now, there is so much information you can find that if you have a functioning frontal lobe, will lead you to one conclusion. David is pure evil, and every new piece of information from the prosecution here is beyond disturbing. So I just blabber about this because I want to at least provide the real facts about the case here to try and combat all of the incorrect gobbledygook people are spitting out there, this mumbo-jumbo from this group that for some reason wants everyone to be supportive of David and, like, plug their ears to what the prosecution is bringing forth. It's fucking lunacy.
Mark, the details alleged by prosecutors are frankly disgusting. In this preliminary 8-page brief signed by LA District Attorney Nathan Hochman, prosecutors paint a picture of a rising pop star who they say lured a young girl and then eliminated her when she threatened to expose their relationship and derail his fame.
This had been brought up previously with the potential motive behind David's killing of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. He had known her since she was 11 and sexually abused her, and he didn't even hide this deplorable situation here. She had appeared in, like, streams, there's videos of the two of them together. His community was even aware of her, but according to the mods, they didn't know that she was a child. They were unaware of her age, nor did they know that she was reported missing. I don't know if that's true or not, or if the mods are just trying to cover their own ass so they don't end up on the hook and in trouble. Couldn't tell you, but the point is, there is a lot of evidence with these two publicly together in photos, videos, all of that. And at some point, it is alleged that she made a threat about, making it more known that she's a child. She is a minor. And thus the prosecution alleges that the motive was David wanting to save his career because if that information got out, it would damage his blossoming career. So in order to try and save that, he killed her.
In court for the second time today, attorneys for the singer, whose real name is David Burke, fought to seal the brief that prosecutors believe lays out a specific timeline and evidence of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez's murder. Prosecutors allege Rivas Hernandez and Burke first met when she was just 11 years old, and they have explicit sexual photos of the two. The brief also claims Burke stabbed Celeste several times and watched her bleed to death.
Now, in the previous information that was provided by prosecution, they were talking about the child pornography that they found on David's phone. Now they are also saying that there are explicit sexual photos of David and Celeste together. So that is probably the child porn that they were referring to then. Also saying that the two had met when she was 11. And the autopsy report was recently made public where the cause of death was revealed to be sharp objects through the torso. So they are alleging that David stabbed her multiple times and then watched her bleed to death.
In the days after prosecutors claimed David had slaughtered Rivas Hernandez, they say he purchased tools to dismember her body. Prosecutors say Amazon delivered 2 chainsaws, a body bag, and blue inflatable swimming pool to David's home, all ordered under a fake name. Prosecutors say David cut off 2 of her fingers because one of them had a tattoo of his name on it. Prosecutors also allege they have text messages that discuss sex between the two, her pregnancy, and an abortion.
Every new piece of information that comes out from this case here is just shockingly evil. Like, this guy is the fucking devil, man. Holy. It's unthinkable. Just actual unfathomable evil. So, there's allegations that she was pregnant and also had an abortion. And they also have evidence of text messages exchanged between David and Celeste about sex. There were some headlines floating around earlier, like yesterday, that apparently said that, this is from Celeste to David, that all they do is have sex and hang out, and she wants something more than that. That's so fucked up. This is a child that David is routinely sexually abusing. Now, the method of chopping up her body to try and hide it was never disclosed to my knowledge, but here the prosecution is saying that they found evidence that he had purchased chainsaws and an inflatable pool, and that's how he was dismembering her corpse. Her corpse was found in pieces in the trunk of his vehicle after roughly 5 months decomposing in there. And another thing is, with this information about her pregnancy and abortion, it reminded me that when this story was first breaking and I was first covering it, there were a lot of like screenshots being shared around of things David had said to his community, and one of them did mention a child on the way. Now, I don't imagine Discord screenshots from David are going to be anything the prosecution is going to be using in court in any big capacity. I imagine they have far stronger evidence than that. But even still, the fact that stuff like this exists is extremely alarming, and it is publicly accessible information here. To my knowledge, those screenshots, like the one where he said he had a kid on the way with @deleted_user, haven't been debunked as some kind of hoax or photoshopped or a user that was impersonating him. I haven't seen anything to that effect, but community members seem to think that he was joking about that it was just a bit of a goof about the kid on the way. Though, in light of what the prosecution alleges about Celeste being pregnant and abortion, seems like there's a chance it wasn't a joke. But again, I don't think Discord messages here are going to be something the prosecution is relying on. I imagine they have far more solid evidence, but I just wanted to mention this because it reminded me, and it is just another piece of publicly available information that is out there that is now having even more weight put on it because of what the prosecution has been alleging with everything they have.
And text messages where Celeste threatens to expose Burke and destroy his career. In July, months after prosecutors say he'd stabbed her to death, Burke placed her body in the inflatable pool he'd ordered to prevent her blood from spilling onto his garage floor and used a chainsaw to cut off her limbs.
The medical examiner's report released just last week had noted those pieces of blue plastic in Rivas Hernandez's remains. Prosecutors now say those pieces of blue plastic were pieces of the inflatable pool that they say David had placed her body in. Burke has pleaded not guilty. He will stay locked up in jail until his next court date in May.
I don't think that's some kind of big coinky-dink there that the blue plastic that was noted in that report from the body happens to also potentially match the inflatable pool that they allege he had purchased in addition to those chainsaws. Like, I think if anyone's got their thinking caps on, and if you're actually bothering to pay attention to the case and actually look at the evidence, even the evidence that is publicly accessible, it should be an obvious conclusion here that David is not innocent. He is not some fucking angel, some saint that's been framed by a ne'er-do-well out there that's trying to, ruin David for their dubious schemes. David is pure evil. That's what I believe, and I think all of the evidence points to that fact as well.
Former prosecutor turned criminal defense attorney R.J. Dreiling says David's defense team will seize on one detail.
They note in their brief that David was sending text messages to Celeste after her death. They're going to use that to prove that, look, there's no way he knew that she was dead or responsible for it. He still tried to communicate with her after her death.
That's a pretty fucking weak argument, if you ask me. No. All of this evidence, it's hooey. It's a load of hooey because the only fact that matters is David was sending her text messages after she was already murdered. Why would he do that if he knew she was dead? Wouldn't make any sense. Checkmate. Gotcha. Like, that's trash. I think that is a complete trash argument because this is clearly someone who is going to great lengths to try and hide this. Chopping up, dismembering her corpse and stuffing it in a trunk. I imagine that even someone with only a handful of neurons could have come up with the scheme of still sending text messages even after death to try and give himself an alibi. Like, no, look, guys, I didn't know. See, I sent messages when she was dead. I didn't know. It's, terrible. Who could have done this? We gotta find who did this. There's a maniac on the loose. Like, I think it is a terrible, terrible argument. Now, of course, they're paid to represent him. They have to do their job. I get it, I guess. But my point is, I don't think that's going to be very strong on their side. I just really don't. Anyway, as always, praying that there will be justice for Celeste Rivas Hernandez here in this case, and just wanted to give you the latest update. That's really about it. So, yeah. Hey there. Just wanted to share the latest in the David murder case. This has been something I've been actively following. I know I've already made 2 videos about the case since his arrest, and, well, time to make it a trilogy because I think it's important to cover this. There were a lot of people, and still, even in the face of everything I'm about to tell you that was brought up today from the prosecution, there are still a lot of people that are fighting tooth and nail, raising their shield to defend David, still believing with their whole heart and 2 neurons that he was framed and is actually a victim in all of this as well because he had nothing to do with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a child whom David was dating, by the way. And the Dummies for David movement always likes to, bury that one as quickly as possible. He's homeschooled, so he didn't know. He's just a little zany. He's a little quirky. He had no idea. That's bad. It's fucking lunacy to be acting like he's some blameless angel in all of this, in spite of all of the evidence that the public has access to. If you bother to do any amount of research on this case with just the information that is readily available to you right at your fingertips right now, all of it points to only one person who is most likely responsible for her murder, and that person is David. And now, as of today, we're getting even more new information, and it is fucking disgusting. They already mentioned a couple days ago that the prosecution has 40 terabytes here in this case against David. 40 fucking terabytes is an unfathomable amount of anything. And just a moment ago, they dropped like their first teaser as to what some of this new information looks like. The prosecution alleges that they found a significant amount of child porn on David's phone.
Story number 2. A hearing just wrapped up for singer David in his first-degree murder case.
The prosecution revealed details about disturbing digital evidence. Let's get to CBS LA's Rick Montanez with what we learned in court today. Rick, what are you hearing?
Amy, Chris, the hearing just wrapped up within the half hour here, and cameras were not allowed in court, but I can tell you that the defendant, David Burke, was in court today in shackles and wearing that orange jumpsuit. The biggest new piece of evidence revealed, prosecutors say a significant amount of child porn found on Burke's cell phone.
Now, I imagine that isn't just some baseless claim from the prosecution. They probably have all of that evidence as part of their 40 terabytes here that they will be providing to the court. There's still a lot of processing that they are going through right now because there is so much that they have gathered in this case over the last 7 months. But now they are stating they have evidence that there was a significant amount of child porn on David's device.
We also want to point out that this all happens one day after the medical examiner's report became public. That is the report on the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The report says, or I should say the family of Rivas Hernandez is absolutely devastated to learn the gruesome details contained in that write-up. That's according to a family statement. So this report says the 14-year-old girl died of sharp force trauma, but the autopsy was difficult because of the severe decomposition of her dismembered body when it was found in the singer's abandoned Tesla last September.
The autopsy revealed the grisly nature of her killing, it being sharp objects, and then it was mentioned why it was so difficult for them to figure out what actually killed her. It's because her body was chopped up and decomposing in the fucking trunk of this monster's car. So it made it difficult for the autopsy to definitively say what the cause of death was. And since the autopsy brought this information to light, people have been going through David's music and music videos and noticing some really fucking haunting shit in there. Most notably with the anime video he made for his song Rehab, where there is a character in there that bears a lot of similarity to Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Now, the music video came out in 2023, but David met Celeste as early as 2022, and in this music video, David cuts off that character's arm and then throws a sword which stabs her in the stomach, killing her. In real life, Celeste had her body chopped into pieces and stuffed into bags, thrown in a trunk, and the autopsy revealed that her cause of death was sharp objects through the torso, notably her upper abdomen and hitting her liver. Now, of course, I have no doubt that none of that is going to be used in court in any way, shape, or form by the prosecution. I imagine they have far more solid evidence to be bringing to court in that 40 terabytes. I don't think they'll be using like similarities from the music video versus what actually happened, or, you know, video clips that exist where he's saying some crazy shit. I imagine they're going to be going for like completely irrefutable things that you can't just write off as a coinky-dink or something like that. But I wanted to mention it because it really does feel like David was just leaving breadcrumbs in his music to the sick and twisted person that he is, and that he had this like murderous intent. It's fucking sickening stuff.
On Monday, he pled not guilty to the capital murder charges. We spoke with a former federal prosecutor just a short time ago here on CBS LA Mornings about this new evidence revealed in today's hearing and the fact that David's phone, according to prosecutors, contains child porn.
And obviously, we don't know if it's Celeste Rivas's images and videos or something else, but that is a significant offense. Obviously, it helps prosecutors prove the sex crimes, the lewd and lascivious, Penal Code Section 288, but it's also a separate crime in and of itself. And it's certainly the possibility that the feds even step into this case because they typically will prosecute these types of child pornography cases.
It is extremely serious, and this is new information that's been brought forth from the prosecution here. And the fact that they are bringing this as evidence in this case must mean that they have irrefutable proof that on David's device, he had that material. I have no idea how the David defenders will even begin to wrestle with that in mental gymnastics, some kind of excuse there, like, he was just holding it for somebody else. He's been framed again. They put it there. They framed him for the murder, now they're framing him with child porn. I have no idea how they could even begin to tackle that one, because even though it hasn't been proven yet, the fact that the prosecution is even putting this forward means they must be able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that, yeah, his phone had child porn on it. So that's the newest piece of information that's been brought up. Now, As mentioned, they are still going through a lot of processing for a lot of digital evidence that they have compiled. So in a week, I believe about a week, it's going to go back with both sides, and they're going to discuss if they need even more time about, going to a capital murder trial. So as of right now, we don't have everything being brought forth yet, but it is beginning and it's moving fast. The process is underway and it is moving very quickly. So I guess we'll know more in a week, but I just wanted to give you this update here because that new allegation coming to light here is once again another disgusting development here in the David case. Anyway, praying for justice for Celeste here. I truly don't see a world where David is innocent at all. And anyway, that's really about it. So, yeah, I saw David is finally being arrested. I haven't watched the Law and Crime video, but I imagine they break down everything. We talked about this when it was first starting. And there was a lot of people, actually, like a surprising amount of people still defending him, like, we don't know the whole story yet. David's probably innocent, even though there's irrefutable evidence of him at the very least dating a child. And there was a lot more evidence that came out that seemed like it was pretty much impossible for it to have been anyone else that killed her. Aside from David, he's like the only suspect. And that was many months ago. So it did take quite a while, but I imagine they were just building their case for it to be just ironclad. Like, inarguable. So now that they've arrested him, I imagine that's going to be curtains. No, it's disgusting stuff, bro. It's horrible.
We are following major breaking news tonight. Singer David has been arrested in connection to the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas, according to the LAPD. This is a case that stretches back more than 2 years to when she was last seen alive. Her decomposed body found in the trunk of David's Tesla late last year. His
fans came up with a delusional theory over how that was possible that involved like the craziest mental gymnastics that you wouldn't find in even like the most unhinged of fiction, about how like it was like cartel that actually did it in order to frame David, and they stuffed her body in the trunk of his car because why would he do that in his car? It doesn't make sense. David's far smarter than that if he was actually going to kill somebody. It was crazy. And I'm so curious what those same people are saying now. When I talked about this when it was first starting, I actually got a lot of shit from chat pushing back like, this is crazy, Charlie. How could you possibly think that he could be even remotely guilty in this case? And we don't even know if he was dating this child, even though, even at the time, back in whatever it was, September, October, whatever, even at that time, there was tons of evidence about him dating a child. And then everything that came out basically confirming it was him that killed her. And still refusing to accept it, like, well, if he did it, he'd be arrested by now. Thinking everything's like the movies where they fucking rappel in and break through your windows the second that something pops up. They have to build a case. Granted, this took a lot longer than I would have expected, but it was never going to be instantaneous anyway. Bro even left clues in his songs. True. He himself was even dropping the breadcrumbs. They weren't even subtle. And it's not a full-blown conviction or anything yet, you're right, but it is a arrest, and I imagine because it's taken this long, they have compiled irrefutable, inarguable evidence. I don't think he's getting out of this one. And again, there's literally no other suspects in the murder of this girl. None. It's just him. Like, unless they brought in a suspect that I didn't see it somewhere along this way, like they fucking found the Muffin Man or something that they're saying, like, oh, it could have been this guy, which I don't think they are. It's literally only him. He's gonna get less than 10 years? I don't think so. I know a lot of people think that he'll probably get off easy because he's a celebrity. I don't think so. This is a very serious murder case. This is a big case. I don't think he's getting off, with a slap on the wrist. I really don't. I thought his security was also a person of interest at one point. I don't think so. I think that was only ever like a TikTok conspiracy. I'll double check real quick. Well, actually, maybe it's in this video. Maybe they'll talk about it. Because I'm pretty sure that was just TikTok weirdos that were trying to cover for him or something, fucking smoke screen for him. Like, check the security guard. It was probably that guy.
Case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
But I could be wrong. It's been many months now.
All right, let's get to this breaking news coming in right now from Los Angeles. A bombshell announcement by the LAPD. I want you to take a look right here. This is the post that was put out by the public information officer with the Los Angeles Police Department on social media announcing the singer, known as David, had been arrested by homicide detectives in LA, quote, for the murder of Celeste Rivas. Now, David, his real name is David Burke. He is now being held without bond, and he hasn't been charged as of yet. The LAPD says that his case will be presented to the DA on Monday for filing consideration. We're going to go over the process here in just a moment. This is a case that has taken months to get to this point. I know.
Is that real? I don't remember that. David's lawyers legit said murder was not the cause of her death. Did they actually say that? Wow, you're right. David's lawyers claim he was not the cause after homicide, saying... Here, hold on. Let me read through this and get the quote. Okay, no, not exactly what they said. I see where you're getting it confused, though. They're basically saying that since no cause of death in the teen's case has been announced, that they're ruling out that it could be David, according to his lawyers, more or less. It can't be David. They haven't even ruled the cause of her death. That's an interesting angle to try, though. Well, no cause has been determined. As she was, like, chopped up in the back of the fucking trunk of his car. We don't know if it was murder.
Following this, and now it seems like the next step, a major step, is still something that's going to take some time before we learn a lot of information about this case, and we'll be talking to former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani about that here in just a moment. But as we focus now on this announcement, it may feel like a long time coming because David was announced as a suspect in November of 2025. Now, before we get into what will happen next, I do want to get you up to speed on this case because it is one that has been going on in some ways months, in other ways years. According to the LAPD, this all started in September of 2025, and that is when officers responded to an impounded lot in Hollywood after there were reports of a foul odor coming from a vehicle, a Tesla. Now, that vehicle, it had been towed days earlier after it was found on a street, abandoned, it seemed, in Los Angeles. Now, police say that vehicle, that Tesla, it was registered to David Burke. And many people in the music community know him by just one name, David, D4vd. Now, when detectives searched
Why'd he say
that
it like
car,
that?
they found a body. And that body was later identified as a 14-year-old girl, her name, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Her body was in the front storage area of the Tesla. That's like the trunk of the vehicle. And it was in a state of decomposition, law enforcement said. Investigators have said that Celeste may have been dead for weeks before she was discovered. The teen's mom told investigators that she was last seen and heard from in April of 2024.
See, so like, I don't think there was ever another suspect. Not officially. I think it was only ever David. Let me see. What's this?
January of this year, 2026. David's alleged close friend, a man named Neo Langston, was arrested in Montana for failing to appear as a witness in the Los Angeles grand jury investigation. And a week after that, Langston was spotted entering a Los Angeles courthouse and reportedly testified before the grand jury. But since then, for the most part, frankly, crickets in this case. No real developments, of course, until now. Joining us.
Okay. The Tesla absolutely have security footage on those cameras. They record everything. It would prove everything. That's what people were saying at the time, too, but I don't think that shit ever came out. I know. Like I said, it took a while, but it's always going to. They can't just instantly go in. They have to build the case. It definitely took longer than I thought it would. Seen the trailer for Metro 2039? I have not.
I ask you, do you want to come out of the darkness and become a pure nation? I ask you, Are you ready for great changes under the guidance of a great leader? If you are, then wake up and open the door for the Novorite.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake
up. Yeah, I still need to play Last Light.
Wake up to a pure nation, clean air, bright future.
Metro Exodus is really good. I need to just do the whole series for the gaming channel. Maybe closer to this game's release.
The people say aye. The enemy's threats, for the Führer hunter protects you.
Where are they taking them? Can you hear me?
They do. We hear everything. But you don't let them speak.
No. It's not about me. I won't ask again.
It's all about you. Sleep.
Damn Doc Ock. This trailer's super hype.
All together now, children.
The Novorite is our home. Either we destroy or we are destroyed. No one will mourn us if we die. Mercy is weakness.
Our enemies have no pity for us.
Your drawing is trash.
The enemy must be destroyed. 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 The enemy must be destroyed.
Man, the visuals in this trailer are crazy.
Pure nation, clean air, bright future. The Novorite is our home.
They have gameplay in this? Do they really? Wow. Okay. Wouldn't have expected that. Well, I'm stoked. Yeah, I definitely need to play through the whole series. 2033 is the only one I actually played through. So I need to do the other two. How many of you saw this from YouTube today? Before I get into the nitty-gritty, I'm curious how many of you saw this from them. Just announced it made on YouTube new tools to help supercharge your creativity, grow your business, and connect with your audience on YouTube. Here's a full rundown. Most of you didn't see this? Okay, cool. So they're announcing that VO3 is in YouTube Shorts now. So you can bring your imagination to life with VO3, Google's latest AI video generation model. Type a prompt, generate a video now with audio, sharper quality, better prompt matching, and unlimited free use. Currently rolling out in a lot of places. So the announcement is,
everyone.
to supercharge your creativity, we are now integrating VO3 directly into YouTube Shorts, I believe, so that way you can more efficiently fart out AI-generated dog shit. If this isn't the worst possible move for YouTube, I don't know what is. Especially in light of like a month ago where they're like, you know, we don't want to monetize AI-generated videos all that much anymore. You need to check if a video is AI-generated. Like, it seemed like they wanted to be against having their platform flooded with this. And now today, well, this was yesterday actually, later in the evening yesterday, they're announcing that VO3 is going to be like a core component of YouTube Shorts. That's fucking nuts. So shorts that are already just absolute garbage are about to get even worse. They've now done the full 180 on their previous position of AI videos. YouTube also put in their AI verification bot, which means people have been age restricted. Yeah, I know. I've seen that. That's rolled out in a certain capacity. YouTube decided money more valuable than ethics. That's what a lot of people are saying, that this is a good, like, money-making strategy from YouTube. I disagree. I actually think this is a really bad move if their goal is maximizing revenue. People are just going to abandon YouTube Shorts. Like, no one's going to stick on YouTube Shorts if they're going to be mainly inundated with this kind of garbage. They'll just go to TikTok. What's the point? I don't think this is a good idea for them at all. There's a lot of older people who definitely watch it. Older people aren't watching YouTube Shorts, brother. I got bad news for you. Like, I'm sure there's a fringe amount of them that do, but it'd be mainly kids. I'm gonna make AI videos of... Yeah, I mean, I imagine pretty much everyone will just abuse this to try and make some quick cash on Shorts. And I totally get that. If YouTube is going to encourage it, might as well try and get something out of it, I suppose. It takes actual, like, minutes. Like, a handful of minutes. Do you have the option to make them? Not there for me. I don't know. I don't know exactly how this works, but they are parading this around like it's a huge new thing that they're introducing. This new tool to help supercharge your creativity and grow your business. So I don't know how it works, but it seems like they're going to be putting a big emphasis on bringing AI generative tools so that way you can shit out as many AI videos as possible. No way they don't put limits on it, right? Maybe lower RPM for AI content? Couldn't tell ya. Yeah, I've been keeping up with the David stuff. He hasn't been taken in yet, right? They still haven't brought in David after everything that they've found? Is that correct? That's crazy. They didn't even bring him in as like a suspect to like ask him questions about everything? I don't understand what the fuck's going on there with that. It seems like some pretty watertight stuff that they've collected. He's still touring. Like right now, he is actively still touring. Yeah, full disclosure, I do not know shit about David. I have never heard a David song or anything. I have seen the name, but I never listened to his music. And this is all very new to me. It seems like he's not currently touring, though. It seems like he was, but is no longer. I didn't think he did it until today. Yeah, whether or not he's the one that killed her, there's tons of evidence to indicate that he most likely is responsible for that. What is irrefutable is that he was dating a child. Like, that is case closed on that. I don't think there's any possible world where that's incorrect based on all of the evidence. That shit is crazy. A majority of his songs were released on the girl's birthday too. It's so odd. Oh, I actually saw XQC's clip on that. That is crazy. Yeah, like I said, I feel like there's absolutely no possible way that somehow all of that is incorrect. Apparently he'd been dating her since she was like 13. And she was 15 at the time of her death. With her body found like dismembered in his car or something. Or either dismembered or decaying, I can't remember. It was both dismembered and decaying. God damn. He did music for Arcane, Invincible, and Spider-Verse. Okay, there's no way I haven't heard one of his songs then. When I looked up David, not a single one of his songs ringed a bell. What songs did he do for Spider-Verse in particular? Oh, he's doing a song for Beyond the Spider-Verse, so it's not actually out yet. Well, what did he do for Arcane then? Oh, he did Remember Me. Okay. Yeah, I know that one. There's no proof he did it. Brother, there's overwhelming proof of the high likelihood he did, but at bare minimum, he was dating a 13-year-old. Well, apparently he'd been talking to her since she was 11. And then she has been murdered when she was 15. And then found in his car. I don't know how it's possible to defend it. It is an overwhelming amount of evidence. Like, it's not looking good. She'd be 15 today, not murdered at 15. Oh, what? So she was killed at 14 and just turned 15. Gotcha. How is that overwhelming? You get out of the house right now and find a corpse in your car. Are you the killer? Brother, what? Are you sitting on the orb of confusion right now? You think that's all that happened? He had matching tattoos with this girl with an incredible amount of pictures as well as videos of him with that girl when she was like 13. And her body is found dismembered and decaying in his car. What are you talking about? It's not like he just stumbled across a dead body and people are assuming he did it. The girl's mom even said that she was dating someone named David. Like, what are you yapping about? There's no way you actually believe that. You see the song David made about her? I keep hearing about it. Romantic Homicide, I think it was called. Yeah, I saw that stuff. Yeah, it's fucking scary, man. I've actively followed the David case since the information started breaking 7 months ago, and I want to give you the latest update on it. So 2 days ago, most of you know, David was arrested following a lengthy investigation, but he wasn't immediately charged. He was held without bail, but they didn't announce any charges at the time. Today that has changed. They have announced the charges here, and if found guilty, they could carry a maximum penalty of life in prison or even the death penalty.
These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty.
Anyone who's followed this case even loosely probably isn't surprised to hear those charges being announced there. The evidence has been overwhelming. He hasn't been found guilty yet, but I gotta tell you, I think even Saul Goodman would struggle handling a case like this. And these aren't the only charges he's facing. There's also additional charges as well.
Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr. Burke, including continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating a human remains of a body.
This case is about as disgusting as it gets. And Again, it did take a while getting here, but I imagine the fact that they have now arrested and brought these charges forth means that they have sufficient evidence to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that David is guilty of these crimes for which he is accused. There is an overwhelming amount of evidence available to the public, by the way, right there at your fingertips. And even still, and I know I mentioned this in the last video, but I just can't get over just how bafflingly insane this is. There are David defenders. I'm talking about David drones that are constantly fighting tooth and nail, trying to proclaim his innocence, saying that this is all a frame job and he's been set up. Which is crazy to me, because no matter how you spin this, there is irrefutable evidence to confirm that at the very least, David was in a relationship with a child. And these dummies for David, this movement here, likes to plug their ears to that fact and just dodge it. But it's like trying to dodge the rain. It's impossible to overlook that because it is fucking vile. And it is not based on circumstantial evidence, which is the buzzword they love to use in regards to this case when defending David. That is provable that he was dating Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a child. And according to authorities, his motive for her murder was to protect his career because she had apparently threatened to report their sexual relationship. She was reported missing by her family in 2024 when she was 13. And according to the allegation in a criminal complaint, the singer engaged in continuous sexual abuse of her for at least a year from September 2023 to September 2024. And then when she was 14, they believe she was killed with a sharp object on or around April 23rd of 2025 when she was heading to the singer's house in the Hollywood Hills. This is the first time her cause of death has been publicized. Her body was chopped into pieces and stuffed in the back of David's trunk, his vehicle's trunk. So it was especially difficult for authorities to figure out what actually killed her here because her body was decomposing and in pieces, which is where that mutilation of human remains charge comes from. Now, I want to briefly opine on that motive they allege here in this case, because based on all available information, that does track. There are photos and videos of David and Celeste together, and members of his community knew about their relationship. Notably, some of his moderators were aware of it, though, according to their own PR statement they put out to try and debunk the claims that they knew about it and said nothing, they defended themselves by saying that yes, they knew about her, but they didn't know her age nor her status as a missing person. I have no idea if that's true or not, or if they're just desperately trying to cover their own assholes there, but the point is, people did know David was in a relationship with this girl, and if she made a reference to letting people know her age, then it stands to reason that David would panic, fearing that it would jeopardize his career, which was blowing up at the time. And maybe in that panic, he took drastic measures and killed her in order to protect that from getting out.
Calling People versus David Anthony Burke. That's case number 26 CJC F02399.
Good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor. Blair Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter on behalf of our client, David Burke, who's in custody.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Burke.
Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman for the people, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, unsurprisingly, David and his legal team are entering a plea of not guilty. They are looking to fight the charges. That should not come as a surprise to anyone. This shouldn't be something that has someone's mouth fucking hit the floor, jaw agape, recoil, and fly into the back of their chair like, what? Who could have seen that coming? That is standard procedure. There is no dimension in the multiverse where David was going to come in here fucking representing himself and just be like, yeah, I'm guilty. And I'm sorry, and then hit like a fucking power chord on the ukulele. That was never going to be the case. Because if he does plead guilty, he is facing those charges head on, and he might avoid the death penalty, but it's still going to be life in prison. So there was always going to be a not guilty plea entered from David's team here. That is not a shock at all.
So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
Anything from the people?
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we've collected in this case in the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter will be set. Plea of not guilty has been entered on.
So David's team is looking to move lickety-split. They're trying to speed run this process here. They're going for a court any percent gold split, and everyone's willing to play ball here. The other side saying, okay, you know what? We're extremely happy to do that. We would love to showcase the evidence that we've compiled over these 7 months. And what was very surprising is what came after this section.
Given almost no discovery thus far, we've received a 3-page follow-up report, no autopsy report, and a copy of the complaint. And we would ask the people respectfully to produce discovery at the earliest opportunity.
Your Honor, as I indicated to counsel, there's approximately 40 terabytes of discovery in this case. Moreover, in order to obtain the transcripts from a grand jury investigation, counsel has to file a motion. She knows the way the system works. I'm not able to gather those. They have to be provided after the court orders them released because it was an investigation. Second of all, if counsel plans on going to a preliminary hearing within the 10 days, it is unlikely that there will be very much discovery provided within that period, given the voluminous nature and how long it's going to take to copy onto drives.
40 fucking terabytes of evidence they have gathered against David from the sound of things. That is an unfathomable amount. Now, the way that information just came out, the chess pieces that got set up on the board here were David's team made a mention of the discovery, or lack thereof, that they were unsatisfied really with where discovery was there. So then it was mentioned, well, discovery is going to be kind of hard here because of how much volume there is. 40 terabytes, and you're looking to set up a preliminary hearing within such a short time frame. It's going to be extremely difficult for us to get all of that information to you for this discovery. And also, they made a reference to discovery with like the grand jury. Can't really do anything about that. That needs to come from a court order. But the shocking piece of information there was how much evidence they seemingly have against David here from their investigation. 40 terabytes is a ridiculous amount of anything in general. So that's a lot. That really is a lot. That caught me by surprise, because there's a lot of evidence out there available to the public in this case about David and everything here. But 40 terabytes is more than I would have possibly envisioned for this. So anyway, it looks like they're going to be moving this along very fast. So I guess we'll be getting more and more information pretty quickly. I just wanted to give you the update to things now that the charges are out there. And again, personally, I feel David is definitely guilty in the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I think all of the evidence points to him being the only one that it could possibly be. I don't think he was framed. And again, it is proven that he was in a relationship with this child. So that additional charge of the lewd and lascivious acts with a minor, I think there is no possible defense they could even begin to squeak out there in that charge alone. Let alone everything else that is available for everything else in regards to her death, as well as her body being chopped up, the mutilation of her corpse, all of that, all seems to point directly to David. But I guess we'll find out as this process continues. Anyway, fucking awful stuff, man. This case is so fucking gross, and I really, really, really hope that there will be justice for Celeste here. Anyway, that's really about it. See ya.